Welcome, weebs, gamers, and nerds alike. There are a lot of really good shows out there, especially with anime becoming more and more mainstream. However, there are also some really bad ones, or ones that just leave you disappointed. So today, I'm going to cover 5 anime that were better and worse than expectations. Make sure to subscribe for more geek content, and let's get into it. First on the list, we have Frieren Beyond Journey's End. This show had absolutely no right to be as good as it was. I went into this thinking maybe it'll be okay. I heard it was getting close to a 2-hour premiere, so I figured, why not? And from the end of the first episode, which had me crying, all the way down to the very last episode of season 1, it was an adventure. It really tries to tackle the concept of time and making the most of it, especially for Frieren, who's an elf that's going to outlive most everyone she meets. But after having regrets of not getting to know her original party, she sets out to enjoy time and her friends and Fern and Stark and other characters. The pacing is darn near perfect, the animation is absolutely gorgeous, and you really grow to love the characters. The interactions between Fern and Frieren start out as a master and student, but slowly become more like really close friends. And Fern and Stark's relationship is so wholesome and believable with how gradually it moves. Yeah, I also love how the show's not afraid for time to pass. The music is also outstanding and really complements the show. It's also a show that doesn't need any action scenes really, but when it does have action, it goes all out like there's no tomorrow. There's a reason why this show is the highest rated on MAL, and it blew my expectations out of the water. Next up, we have No Guns Life Season 2. I really enjoyed Season 1 and couldn't wait for the dub of Season 2 to come out, but wow, that was a massive waste of time. The story and just overall production value plummeted from Season 1. The first season was intriguing, following a gun person who was a detective trying to figure out who he is and what exactly happened to him. It was cool, but season 2 for some reason just felt too convoluted. And maybe it's because I waited too long to watch it or something, but it just didn't strike me as entertaining as season 1. Some of the action scenes felt flat, and the characters also seemed to just kind of become more one note. It was really sad, but season 2 just failed miserably to meet my expectations. Next, we have Konosuba. Season 3 is currently airing, but this is hands down one of the funniest anime out there. The animation is pretty good, the opening, especially OP2, are bangers, and the main cast could not be more likable. Kazuya, who is a NEET, died in a really sad way. As his one gift to be reincarnated with, he chose the goddess Aqua. Aqua is about as useless as it gets sometimes. Of course, there's times where she's pretty cool, but she's just kind of an alcoholic cheapskate who wants to be lazy. Then you have Megumin, who is a member of an all-powerful race and can use explosion magic. Except that's the only spell she can use, and she can only use it once a day. Then there's Power, who's a masochistic duchess who can't aim for anything. So what do you get when you mix the 4 together? An absolutely great time. I went into this after hearing how funny it was, so I really tried not to find it funny. But damn it, this show is hilarious. There are so many great moments and the writing is just perfect. It's not for everyone, but if you want a comedy or really like isekai, watch this. Next, we got Platinum End. This had so much potential, and I mean so much, but it failed so miserably, and it's not even funny. This manga was created by the mangaka behind Death Note. Yes, that Death Note, one of the best mystery stories out there. But this went wrong in so many places. The protagonist was just always so whiny and unlikable, almost overly so. I've seen my fair share of whiny protagonists. I mean, Deku was like that for a while, so is Tsukimichi from Tokyo Revengers. Granted, I didn't like that show, but still. But Mirai from the show is just so damn bad, which led me to drop it after 8 episodes. The concept is kind of cool as all these different people compete with an angel by their side to be a new god, but it was just executed so poorly, the animation felt kind of stiff, that it seriously just fell short of every expectation out there. Next, we have My Hero Academia. Speaking of Deku, I think this show gets way too much hate. The fanbase is a big issue and are extremely weird and at times kinda creepy. But the show and story itself are actually pretty darn good. Deku grows into a likable character that is dependable. The side cast, including his classmates like Bakugo, Ida, Uraraka, Momo, Todoroki, etc., all have relatively believable and decent character development. The pro heroes are pretty cool, and the top ones have good progression and show their human side as well as their hero side. The music is pretty darn good, and the animation during the big fights is about as good as you'll find. This isn't my favorite Studio Bones show, as that goes to Mob Psycho 100, but it is so much better than people give it credit for. Now we have Charlotte. This is a rough one, as overall it's just kind of meh. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not good. It is that kind of edgy show that came out in the mid 2010s, and while the characters and story aren't overly obnoxious, they aren't memorable either. That is probably the biggest issue with the show, is that it's aggressively mid. The ending feels kind of forced, there wasn't enough time to develop the characters, where the power's cool, kind of, but not enough to carry the show. This show is given as a recommendation all the time on TikTok, which is where I got the idea to watch it, and it really should just kind of stay in the background forever. Now we got Black Clover. I wasn't expecting too much from the show when I first started it, especially since people called it a Naruto clone, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because Naruto is goated. But a lot of people also don't like Asta as an MC because he's too loud and rambunctious. But from the get-go, the world is pretty cool, the idea that he has anti-magic instead of actual magic is done well, and the side cast, I would argue, is one of the best in anime. Each Royal Knight squad has at least a few characters that are cool and interesting, especially the main group in the Black Bulls, with the best captain in Yami Tsukihiro. Another reason people don't like this show is because of the animation at times, but I think the animation is good, or even great, far more often than it is bad. The openings are bangers, and I really can't wait to see more of the manga get adapted. Now we have the most recent one, which is done by Studio Mappa in Buchigari. Even though it's done by that great studio, I could not get through more than 3 episodes. The main characters is one of the most unlikable, unbearable MCs I have ever seen. All he does is cry and whine and go after a girl that very obviously doesn't want him. His best friend, who looks up to him and tries to do all he can to help him, he just throws him by the wayside in favor of trying to get that girl. His whole goal is to use everything this genie can to lose his virginity. Everything about this show is annoying. The action is just kind of meh at best. Now it could have gotten better through the rest of the season, but I just don't really care to watch it and find out. This was hyped up by so many creators, but good lord, is it just not a good show to watch? Next up, we have Your Name. This is probably the one show I will get a lot of flack for on this list, and I think it's a case of being hyped up so much that it just was impossible to live up to my expectations. It was animated beautifully, and I mean downright beautifully. The story flowed extremely well, and the 2 characters, Mitsuha and Taki, interweaved darn near flawlessly. The ending was really sad, but for some reason, it just didn't resonate with me as much. With how much people talk this show up to be one of the best animated movies ever made, and all the awards it got, I just expected more from it. This is not to say the movie is bad by any means, I just think it didn't live up to my expectations for it. And I think the other anime movie that came out near this one, that being A Silent Voice, was just better in most aspects. Last, but definitely not least, we have Reborn as a Vending Machine. Okay, hear me out on this one. I was seriously expecting this to be really bad. I mean like seasonal mediocre isekai slop bad. But this was such a feel-good, happy show. I never really left the show feeling bad or unhappy, and it usually left a smile on my face. I mean, how the heck is a show about a guy being reincarnated as a vending machine actually this good? But damn it, it is. The animation is cute, and the trope never really gets old like you would expect it to. The concept is kind of unique, and I just kind of forgot just how big vending machine culture is over there, and it's extremely fascinating. Add on top of that Bradio doing the opening, who's the band that did the Death Parade opening, and you have a very surprisingly good show. That pretty much wraps up the list. With varying different genres and styles, anime is always giving surprises, for good and bad. What about you? What are some anime that were above or below your expectations? Make sure to let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.